So, hi, Stita. Hi, Salina. So good to have you here with us. And we'll dive right in. And my first question to both of you is what makes ServiceNow such an exciting place to work right now, especially for the tech and the GTM professionals?
All right. Thank you for having us here. What makes ServiceNow a great company, exciting company? I think we are a very dynamic, inclusive environment, and I'll talk more from a tech standpoint. Um, we do provide a dynamic and inclusive environment for our tech professionals, offering opportunities to work on innovative products that help us help our customers, provide an environment of professional growth, and be part of a company that values its employees, right? Our commitment to innovation, our dynamic culture, and investment on our employees' development and well being make us in such a great place for technologists, right? In this AI world, we are committed to being an AI first company, integrating Gen AI into into our platform to enhance our workflow products and productivity for our customers. I feel that tech employees get an opportunity to work on the most cutting edge technologies that are shaping actually the future of enterprise software. Um, um, Makes the world for our world the best place for a technologist to be in right now.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Sita, do you want to add?
Yeah, I'd love to add. So I think Salina's already covered a lot of the great stuff. I think everything that makes ServiceNow so great, absolutely aligned. I think one of the taglines that we use is that ServiceNow is at the forefront of putting AI to work for people. And that is genuinely what we see happening on the ground. When Salina mentioned dynamic, couldn't agree more. Very fast moving organization. We've got a very inspiring leadership team. I genuinely think our leadership team walks the talk. A lot of folks who join us, they're excited about the possibility of joining a company where you get a chance to build from scratch. And that's true in GTM as much as it is true in tech. There's a lot of work that's, I think, getting started. We are at the I think the foundation is there, but we are building that out. So there's a lot of, I think, motivation for individuals to come in and be a part of the journey at that stage. Just last week, we had Knowledge 25 that was anchored in the US. Some very cool announcements. I would strongly encourage those watching this video to go check it out. I think the ServiceNow platform is now called the ServiceNow AI platform. We are in the CRM space right now. We've now unified our CRM solutions on the one platform, which is called the ServiceNow CRM. We've launched the AI Control Tower, the AI Agent Fabric, and there are a lot of things that genuinely sound like they're coming from the future, right? So I think ServiceNow is one of those companies where when you start working in it, you realize that you're actually working in a company of the future. So that I think really makes ServiceNow an exciting place to work for so many of us who are working here.
Lovely.
Yeah, I'll just add that like we've consistently been recognized as a top workplace, including being named among the Fortune's 100 best companies to work for. Now, these recognitions reflect the company's commitment to creating a positive and engaging work environment. So, if you don't want to take our word for it, then these recognitions are, testimony to what a great company that we are. And I also feel that with our presence in Hyderabad, and I'm going to go India now, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Mumbai and Delhi, you get an opportunity to work with a global company with a local impact. What else would a developer, for example, look for in a company working in India?
Right. Thank you for sharing that. And I think I love the phrase company of the future. And we definitely take your word for it. And second question that I would like to jump to is what does the typical hiring process at ServiceNow look like? How many rounds should candidate expect? And what do they usually involve
Right.
from both perspective, GTM and tech?
Right.
So Stita, you want to go first?
Sure.
Sure. So I'd say it sometimes depends on the level that we're hiring for. I mean, it is subjective, but by and large, candidate can expect around 3 to 4 rounds of interview. That could include panel discussions, presentation rounds. So you'll see we're talking about discussions or interviews that happen outside of what the talent acquisition engagement is with the candidate. So you typically have someone from the TA team reach out to you, have the initial conversation with you, assess your fitment, post which once we start the interview and selection process formally, you'll have initially the hiring manager connect to you, assess your overall fitment. Your rounds, second and third rounds are typically centered around our core values. A lot of times, the different panelists who've been assigned different competencies basis which they go deep into evaluation. They could be related to what our ServiceNow core values are and also what some of the core competencies are for that specific role that the candidate is being interviewed for. The final round of discussion typically is a panel interview where you're expected to provide some demos, talk about some solutions created. Sometimes the candidate is expected to kind of simulate or go through simulation of a customer meeting, right? Sometimes they are tested on their product knowledge as well, because a lot of folks who are in the go-to-market space also need to be tech experts. So that's how you can expect a candidate can expect the interview rounds to go. And more often than not, they are sequential. They don't happen necessarily in parallel unless it's an exceptional scenario. So most often than not, they are elimination rounds.
Yeah, I think interviews for us is we believe in fair interviewing practices, right? So as far as possible, we follow a prescriptive standard evaluation process. Now, the number of rounds, like Stita said, could vary based on the role, the level that we are hiring for. But to make sure that there is a unified way in which the candidates experience the process, it is pretty much prescriptive in the way. So they should, and if I'm a candidate, I should expect. If you're a technologist, evaluation on coding, evaluation on through assessments, it could be presentation rounds. Those are some things that we would do to basically check on the skills and experience that a person brings to the table, right? And you can just divide the whole process into, say, 4 phases, like the application process where the person applies through a career portal or the link that is shared. A recruiter will speak to the candidate for a preliminary discussion. Interview or the selection process would basically encourage a candidate to bring in their true self, right? There are multiple rounds, of course, and the candidate should basically demonstrate the functional knowledge and experience that they bring to the table. And if you're technical, then your technical skills or your ability to solve for problems or being analytical are some of the things that we would look for. Once the interviews are over, there is a debriefing session. And an offer decision is made, the recruiter would reach out, walk through the benefits that we offer to our employees. And even if you don't make it, don't be disheartened. You can continue to prep, continue to apply for our roles, and a recruiter would share feedback with you to understand what was the mismatch between that particular role and what you as a candidate bring to the table.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing that. I think feedback process is so important. And just coming to the next question, which is interconnected to this one. What kind of roles are open at ServiceNow at this moment?
Stita, do you want to go first? Tech is
Sure.
pretty much, yeah.
I think for GTM, first let me talk about the go-to-market and then, of course, the corporate functions as well. So go-to-market, you typically find roles which are in the sales space. A lot of the account executives that we hire Point to note here, account execs that we hire are domain specific. They're not generic account executives. So we would strongly encourage those who are keen to apply to ServiceNow to be very, very, very cognizant of their specialization and then, apply or pursue the opportunity accordingly. We also hire, those who support all of the A's as a part of the sales or go-to-market ecosystem. You've got your solution consultants, you've got your sales operations analysts, your business analytics, industry solutions, your customer engagement, analysts, your global partner role, solution sales, customer success guides, shared services, technical writers. So there are a lot of different roles that make up the whole go-to-market ecosystem, marketing roles as well. And this keeps changing. I think what's very unique about the whole go-to-market hiring is that we do tend to hire a wide variety of roles. They keep evolving, they keep changing. So my recommendation is also for those watching this to continue to stay up to date with the kind of roles open by accessing our career site, by following our, our pages on LinkedIn and other social media sites, so that when we do post about the openings, you're able to, see that more real time and then apply for it. Outside of the go-to-market space in the corporate functions, we hire for our finance roles, our HR roles, our legal roles as well. So you've got your accountants, controllers, financial reporting, revenue analysts, FP&A analysts, and those roles will also keep evolving. So there are a huge cross-section of roles we hire for, and what we look for and the specifications for those roles you'll typically find in the job descriptions. And the best place to go to is your career site and stay apprised through connecting on LinkedIn to ServiceNow, as well as to various, talent acquisition professionals who are working in ServiceNow. Follow them, and you'll tend to get to know more about these roles when they open up.
A large percentage of what we hire in India is tech, obviously, because we have pretty large development centers here. So something that we continuously hire are software engineering, quality engineering, AI, ML engineering, product management, both inbound, outbound product management. If you're a designer, then we are looking for UX designers, UX researchers, content writers, with us being so much into agentic AI and AI, of course, cybersecurity, data security. These are some of our standard roles that we do. We continuously hire through the months, right? Anytime that you look into our career page, you would see these roles there. Some things that have changed. If you're a developer, we would look for some creativity. Of course, you have to be proficient in your skills in terms of coding in Java or Python, etc. But in addition to that, now we will also look for creativity. And when I say creativity, we're talking about how do you leverage AI tools for building productivity, building efficiently, building fast. As a developer, what are some of the AI tools that you're using to be more faster and agile in the fast changing world of AI? So those are some of the areas, that we continuously hire for.
Right.
And these roles could be Bangalore based. These roles could be Hyderabad based. We do have flex work personas, which is that we continue to work on hybrid model, 2 to 3 days in the office, otherwise work from home. So that's what we've been following. Yes.
Right. I'm loving how you emphasize on the use of creativity while using technology, which is AI, using in the tech rules.
Yeah. Yes.
Lovely. Can you also talk about the difference in the hiring journey between the tech roles and the GTM roles? How is that?
I don't think there's like I said, we're prescribed way of hiring. So it doesn't differ whether you're being hired for a technologist or for a go-to-market or for a corporate function, right? The basic essence remains the same when you're interviewing with ServiceNow. It's the functional knowledge for that particular role that might differ from these different business groups that we talked about. Otherwise, the essence is the same. There could be 3 to 4 rounds, whether you're in a technologist, whether you are in a go-to-market, but your functional expertise in the area and the domain that you're being hired for is what we would look for. What values do you bring to the table are some of the areas that we would look for.
Cool.
Stita, anything to add?
No, absolutely agree. Brilliant.
Okay, how should someone go about applying to increase their chances for success at ServiceNow? I know you spoke about LinkedIn and the career site, but is there anything specific that they should be looking at? And what separates good candidate from a great candidate?
Right. Okay, so our all our job roles are always posted. So career site is definitely a go-to place if you're interested. I would say we do engagement sessions and office hours through the year for different communities that we hire for. Whether you're currently looking or not looking, this is a great forum to actually hear about what we are developing, hear about what we are building, hear about our company, etc. So if you get an invite for an engagement session or a workshop or an open house, do come in and join, because you do hear a lot. You also hear some of the leaders speak in these sessions, right? So next time when you're looking for a job, then you already are aware of the company. And I would also say, be part of forums and places that your peers are in, so you get to hear about our latest product releases. You would hear, go into YouTube and other social media channels where you can see our CEOs speaking or our senior leaders speaking. You get to understand what are the problems that the company is solving for our customers, right? So I think these are, and I would say leverage your network and referrals to know what's going on in the firm. So networks could come from user groups or forums that you are networking on. It could be a GitHubs, it could be a Stack Overflow, or any of those forums that you go into. Engage with, referrals, people who are part of who are employees with ServiceNow, but you have worked with them somewhere in the past or know them from, being in part of the forums. That will actually give you a good inkling on to what we are hiring, at what time we are hiring, in addition to all the other places that we do post our jobs on. And if you really want to be part of our organization, follow our social pages, and that will give you not only insights about our company, the product launches, etc., but also know about what's coming up in the market.
Thank
That
you.
cover everything?
Absolutely, Salina. And I think if I may also add, I would also encourage candidates to not self-reject. And I say that because a lot of times, candidates might overthink, wonder if they are actually capable for a job that's listed. I think that kind of self-doubt sometimes may come in the way of an individual's growth. So I would strongly encourage that if you feel that you've got most of the competencies, and not all necessarily, right? Most of the competencies that are listed for the job's requirement, then you should apply. At the same time, I would also say that a lot of times we get applications which are not necessarily relevant to the role, right? Yeah. And that also becomes a bit of a challenge, because then people are applying a little blindly, right? And I think that doesn't help anyone's chances of successfully getting through and joining ServiceNow. So it's very important to be aware of what your core competencies are, how well are you aligning to that, the roles that are open, and then applying to the right role. Because when our team reviews the resumes, they do go very deep into understanding what is the work that you've done, what is the level of expertise that you have in the work that you've done, and how does it align to the expectations that are there for the role. And if it is not at all aligned, then there's just no point, even if you're applying for multiple roles. But at the same time, if it is aligned to a great extent, then you must apply and explore. And at the very least, you'll get a chance to connect with people with ServiceNow. You'll make some new connections. You'll connect with TA team. You might meet some folks in the business, and that helps you to stay, I think, in touch with the organization. You may not always get through the first time, but you may also have a future where you might get through in some of the next times, right? So it's important to take that step if you feel that this is an organization that you're passionate about and you're keen to work with. And I'm sure this will come up in the upcoming conversations, but I would also want to reiterate that when you are applying to ServiceNow, very important that you know what ServiceNow is. When you are coming into the interview and selection process, we should know what the organization is doing and why are you keen to join ServiceNow. And I can understand that there are many great companies out there, just like ServiceNow, but it is important to have your why ServiceNow question answered for yourself. That also increases your chances of succeeding when you go through the process.
Absolutely. And I think one part that we didn't touch is good versus great. And Stita just reminded me of that. I would say do your homework, know about, research about the company that you are keen to work with, right? Going through the interview process. What is the work that we do? What are the product releases that happen? Some of the news views, etc., that you can see on some of the channels, etc., right? And I would say equip yourself with the right skills, and more so I'm talking from a technology standpoint, right? Hone your tech skills, sharpen your analytical and problem solving skills. Basically prep yourself for the interview, and during the interview process, and I'm just giving you some tricks of the whole thing, to say demonstrate your practical experience, work through examples and scenarios from your experience, and prep for the interview. Basically ask questions to the recruiter on the number of rounds, read through the job description to see what kind of competencies are we looking for, prep for the interview with practice questions, etc., just to build your confidence. And I would just say, be honest about things that you do know and do not know, right? If you don't know something, say so. But you can always show examples of how in the past you've learned on the job some new skills or new areas, and that just shows your ability to learn faster or quicker. These are some things that will differentiate from good versus great. Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing those tips and tricks. The next question is actually quite interrelated. What are the top technical and the soft skills that you look for while hiring, and are there any must-have skills?
So when we look for tech, a deep understanding, and I've covered it in some of the areas that I've covered already, but your deep understanding of coding languages, coding proficiency, understanding of ServiceNow platform expertise would definitely be a plus. I'm not saying that's a mandate, it's not a must-have, but if you're applying for a role, the functional understanding of that basic competency is a must-have. For example, if you're a UX designer, and then designing for an enterprise versus a studio would be an advantage, right? And like I mentioned, with the onset of Gen AI, we expect developers to be understanding and knowing what kind of development tools can be used, AI tools can be used, which allows them to build quickly, more efficiently, etc. Soft skills, I think firstly is communication skills, the ability to effectively communicate, right? Doesn't mean flawless English. The ability to articulate your thoughts is what I mean when I say effective communication. And the other software areas which I'm reiterating is like, ability to problem solve, ability for analytical thinking, organizational skills, the ability to collaborate with teams, having worked in, you will be actually working in a multi-country kind of team. So adaptation to some of these things would be are things that we look for, or things that people should come up with.
Totally. I'd add maybe one or two more points to that. I think when it comes to communication, just one more thing that is important from our standpoint is also listening skills. So communication is a two-way thing. So how well are the candidates listening? Are they paying attention to questions? Are they answering the questions in a clear manner, which is related to the question asked and not something else entirely? So that's very important. So listening skills may be as equally important as their articulation skills at times. Authenticity. So, sometimes, a candidate would not really go too far if you're not authentic in your answers. Like Salina already mentioned, if you don't know something, if you're not aware, it's better to be genuine and authentic about it rather than try to, say something that you don't really, you can't really be answering honestly in an interview process. So authenticity is very important. In sales and go-to-market, a lot of times what also matters is the kind of relationships that you build or you have built with the customers. And therefore, how were you able to convey that during your connects with your talent acquisition team or with the hiring managers and above? Because your relationships count for a lot when you are a part of the sales organization. So I would add that as one of the key points from a sales/customer engagement hiring that we do. Otherwise, everything that Salina said, plus one to that.
No, thank you so much for sharing that. The next question is, are there any specific interview formats or tasks candidates should be ready for, like case studies, technical rounds, or presentation-based assessments? And how is that difference in tech versus GTM?
So in tech, if you are a developer, then be prepared for coding assessments. Right? So that will be part of your round. If you're a designer, UX designer, then there would be a presentation round. The best way to go through it is, because some of these rounds will change from tech, even within tech and across functions, is to ask this question to the interview, to the recruiter who is connecting with you. Of course, the rounds of interviews would be mentioned by the recruiter. If they don't, also ask them, what are the rounds of interviews? What are things that I should be expected to do? So based on the role, there could be case studies, there could be scenarios that are given, that there are presentation rounds that happen. If you're a developer, be prepared to code in front of the interviewer while you are actually interviewing. There could also be coding assessment tests that can be mailed across to you. So yeah.
Yeah. For GTM, it's very specific to the role. GTM, I think it would be unfair to call out anything which is
specific. Yeah.
It's very specific to the role that we hire for in GTM account managers.
Yeah, I just feel that this question, if you're a candidate, I would say have a discussion with the recruiter who's connecting with you. The recruiter will walk you through the process, will walk through the multiple rounds that will happen, and what's the expectation that these rounds have from the interviewer's perspective, and prepare accordingly.
And what are some common mistakes or the red flags that a candidate must avoid, in technical versus GTM?
Sure.
I think this is again common. It doesn't matter whether it is tech or GTM. I think inconsistency conflicting or vague responses as you're going through the interview process, right? Basically impacts the credibility and attention to detail that a candidate is bringing in. I think we value transparency, clarity, and integrity. So like Stita mentioned earlier, I think that is key. So don't bluff your way around. If you don't know something, that's perfectly fine. Just showcase your ability to learn faster, right? Any of the scenarios that you can bring in from your past. We're not looking for jargon. jargon without demonstrating practical understanding. So if you're using jargon, demonstrate that you have actually experienced that and showcase some of it. I think it's a downer to have in an interview process a lack of enthusiasm or engagement or an interest, or being sort of defensive or blaming others if questions about past challenges come up, right? And I think unprofessional behavior is a complete no-no. So I think it all goes back to being prepared for the interview, coming prepared for the interview. So it doesn't matter which role that you are interviewing for, whether it's corporate function or go-to-market, sales or tech. These are some high-level red flags that a person should avoid.
Yeah. So, Salina, like you mentioned, if a candidate is more focused on the negatives than the positives, I think that tends to derail the conversation a little bit. In terms of being prepared for interviews, I would also say the physical preparedness, right? So, are you physically in the right space to take the interview? Not while you're commuting or you're maybe in your current office and you're taking the room from some sort of. We've unfortunately seen such scenarios as well at times. You need to be physically present also in the right place to be able to give your best to that interview. And be coming on video and making sure that your professionalism shows up in how you show up for the interview as well. I would also say that sometimes there are too many job switches that have happened too frequently in an individual's career that they're not able to really justify. Sometimes that can go a little can be a little challenging for the state to move forward with. And again, if the individual has got superficial knowledge, in depth and hands-on understanding isn't there, by and large, you will see that the conversation beats around the bush a lot, and you don't really go anywhere beyond the initial stage of that conversation. So these are the common red flags, if you want to call it, that we come across when we connect with candidates.
Right. And is ServiceNow open to hiring freshers?
Absolutely, yes. We have our what we call as the early in careers team. They engage with campuses across the country, across tech, go-to-market functions, all the functions rather. We provide mentorship to graduating students. We hire interns and full-time employees through these identified campuses. And one thing that we do in tech is that we have our annual Code to Win event that happens, that is cutting across all colleges and across the country. So it's like a hackathon that happens. I would just say attend those events, get assessed, and we will continue to reach out to this assessed pool of talent through the year whenever there are junior roles that are coming in.
Sure. Stita, you want to add something?
All good. +1 to that.
Okay, love. Okay, what makes a resume stand out to a ServiceNow recruiter? Any tips for someone who is trying to break in from a completely different industry or a field?
A completely different industry or field will have relevance to the role, right? So if the person has relevance to the role, I would just say focus on clarity in your resume, bring in the relevance, and I would just say add measurable impact of the work that you've done in the current firm. Have those highlighted. If you're not only coming from a different industry, even if you're coming from the same industry and you want to apply for a role, I think these are 2 or 3 things that don't have lengthy 5-page or 10-page kind of resumes. Have it short, crisp, focus on clarity, focus on what is the relevance and what's the impact that you've done in your past.
Absolutely.
The measure of your impact.
Absolutely. And there's so many learning opportunities out there if you're able to take up the right kind of certifications, really kind of prove that you're willing to learn something new, because that's the point. You're coming from a different industry, a background, you're likely that there's going to be a steeper learning curve for you, but you're already getting started on that journey because you are picking up these certifications and courses and learning from that, then that adds value to your profile as well.
Yeah, I think now we have ServiceNow University having offerings outside for people outside, and go through some of those courses, like Stita mentioned. I think certifications, some of the relevant courses, take up those um, uh, and add them to your resume once you've completed them. So that will definitely give you an edge.
Lovely. Good to hear about ServiceNow University. I think this is going to be new information for the audience here. Let's talk about culture. What makes ServiceNow's work environment very different from the other tech companies?
Stita, go ahead. I seem to be starting off.
No problem.
I will add to you.
Okay, I think now I've spent about 1.5 years in ServiceNow. What stands out for me, and I mean it, and I do not want it to sound cliched, I genuinely mean it when I say that in ServiceNow, one of the 3 phrases that we keep using the most is the people pact, where we talk about doing our best work, living your best life, and fulfilling your purpose together, right? Now, when you join an organization, of course, you're doing it with the intention of making the most of it from a career standpoint. And ServiceNow is genuinely a place where you can accelerate that, right? Whether it is the kind of learning that you can get, the growth that you can get, the people that you get to work with and learn from, and also your financial well-being. A lot of these factors kind of come together and help you experience that to the best in ServiceNow. And it is also an organization where, while I think the company wants you to do your best within the organization during work, but also wants you to be your best outside of work, or take care of your well-being genuinely. And I think I say that because when I speak to my team and we discuss about what the candidates feel really good about when we speak to them about ServiceNow, usually it isn't about the big things, it's about the day-to-day stuff. It's about the fact that this is an organization that genuinely does care for its employees, and it does show up in different ways in our day-to-day lives, and that's ingrained, I think, in every leadership, in our conversations as leaders, and how we kind of show up as leaders, or how we are expected to show up as leaders. So that is one of the biggest differentiators. So I think if you're able to be a part of an organization where you can experience both professional and personal growth, then genuinely, you've kind of nothing like it.
I'll just add that we're just, I think, distinguished by our commitment to inclusion, and innovation. You will see employee resource groups within the organization that are representative of the different communities that our employees come in from, right? So I think the fact that we genuinely have a supportive, collaborative environment for our employees, that is driving towards excellence, makes it so worthwhile a culture that we are developing for our employees to thrive in this culture.
Sure. Thank you for sharing. And what are some of the unique perks or benefits that people might not know about, which are available at ServiceNow? So, Stita, you might want to go first for this.
Sure. I think there are quite a few. In fact, a lot of them anyone can find if you Google ServiceNow and you go to our ServiceNow website. A few that stand out, I think there are a lot of these well-being related initiatives that the organization run. Those that center around mental health, family support. I think that's very important because a lot of times that does get deprioritized, and people need support, and they can get that within the organization's ecosystem. We also have, other financial schemes or financial initiatives such as your NPS scheme that folks can avail or be a part of if they join ServiceNow. You've got great parental leave policies, including those for adoption leaves. There's also certain tuition reimbursement policies that are there in place. That being said, I think the biggest perks that you get being a part of a ServiceNow sort of environment is that your stocks are going to keep getting better and better all the time. So if you get stocks and you can see the growth of the organization. So I think ServiceNow has outperformed the market nearly 3 times since COVID, and it's consistently outperformed over the last 10 years. So if you're a part of an organization where your wealth creation just becomes so much stronger and better, then I think, again, one of the best perks that you can have.
Yeah, I so agree to that. I mean, we do have the standard what industries give of comprehensive health benefits. I think, uh, 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 the parental leaves are something that we give. I just want to call out pat leave. So paternity leaves is something that makes us unique. The one of the other things is we still continue to have well-being offs. We have our regular time offs, etc. But we have global well-being off when during certain months we expect people to use those days, and globally it is an holiday. So it's not like you work with US teams, they are working and you are off, then the work doesn't go away, right? So these well-being days are off across the globe on the same days, just to make sure that you are focusing on your well-being. And like Stita said, having stakes in the organization, being part owner to the organization, that helps you see how your wealth creation is for the long term, right? So those are some things, some perks that makes this place really, really unique.
Thank you for sharing. And Salina, I want to ask you, are there any inspiring story or anecdote that you would like to share with our audience today?
I think every day is inspiring, I would say. And I'm just moved by the knowledge session that happened. So, Knowledge, for people who don't know, is a flagship event of ServiceNow, where we meet up with our customers, our partner organizations. Sometimes we have our competitors and peers, etc., also coming in to just speak, to just hear Bill, our CEO, talk about the vision of the organization. It is just enthralling to hear him. It inspires you every single day to say, there is a leader that you can look up to, who's taking this organization to the next levels on a single everyday basis. So I think I just watched his keynote the other day, and just to see how he takes on analysts, the questions around market. The market is sort of not so stable at this point of time. Look at the way the ServiceNow stocks are growing and how quarter on quarter we are performing. He's just I would just suggest everybody should just go watch his videos. Unmatched energy levels, which is just awesome.
Totally.
Bill McDermott, for people who don't know the CEO, Bill McDermott is our CEO and an amazing leader to follow.
Bill
I'm not sharing my own inspiring story. I'm just so inspired and awestruck by him.
He's like one of our rock star CEOs, but
Absolutely,
I think any of his videos are enough to get the best talent to ServiceNow. I remember I'd kind of gone through some of his videos before I joined ServiceNow, but I'd just share one small, I think, experience from my side. I was actually, personally, going through my pregnancy phase when I took up an interview with ServiceNow, and then I joined ServiceNow. It's very personal to me, but I want to share this because I think ServiceNow was the organization that gave me a chance to make that career or that job switch during the time that I was also going through a very different phase personally. I think that's genuinely something that tells you a lot about an organization's culture, right? So if you're able to take up a new role while you're pregnant, and then of course you have to kind of balance different priorities once you have a kid, but just the way the organization has come together and has given me the opportunity before I had the kid, after I came back from my maternity, I think has really made my last 1.5 years with ServiceNow genuinely very meaningful, very rewarding. And if there was one example that I could share about something that stands out for me personally, that would be it from a ServiceNow standpoint. That says a lot, to be honest.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing that personal story, Stita. And I want to also, you spoke about your first interview experience at ServiceNow, and I think you've already answered what I was going to ask next, but I'll move to Salina and I'll ask her about her experience. How was your first interview experience at ServiceNow, and what grabbed your attention that this place is going to be a great place to work or it's going to be different from the others?
All right. So I probably was a passive candidate. I was not looking for a change. I was working in a company, pretty reputed, doing pretty well in the organization. I actually got an exploratory conversation with who became my manager, who is now Stita's manager. And he talked about, you know, the career growth that what he's envisaging for this particular role. So that was my first point to say, okay, this is exciting. Let me continue understanding, or that the willingness to give an exploratory discussion, not an interview, to talk you through the role and the journey that this role is going to be. I'm like, okay, these people are genuinely interested in getting the right people, and they're already valuing me for what I bring to the table, even without sort of starting the interview process. And then the second part was, as part of the interview process, I had business leaders interviewing me, and they genuinely gave time to walk you through. These were senior leaders who interviewed, senior business leaders who interviewed. The importance that they gave to HR functions and HR leadership roles, and the devotion that they had in terms of making sure they're walking through what this organization is all about, what their own personal growth journeys have been. So that it was showing, the investment in that position was showing very deeply. And then came the interview process. I think these were some of the things that made me, from a passive to a active candidate, say, okay, this does look really good. I really am wanting to be part of this organization and its growth journey. Right. And I think some of the business leaders were pretty honest about things to expect, things to change. It wasn't everything rosy. So the honesty with which they came in, and I'm like, okay, I want to be really part of this organization and work with these leaders. That's how my journey of interviewing was. And then, of course, there were specific functional rounds and all of those, but these were my thought processes from actually moving from a passive to an active candidate.
Lovely. That's a beautiful story. I think authenticity is what sort of pulled you in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. Sita, do you want to add to something?
Firstly, I want to say that I'm so happy that Salina took that chance and became an active candidate from a passive candidate. I have greatly benefited from having Salina in my life. I think one of the things that was shared with me when I was going through the early stages of the interview process with ServiceNow was how everyone here is very humble. I think across the board, across leadership, and very approachable, the team, everyone you speak to. And I think that is something I have definitely experienced with everyone I have reached out to and I have connected with throughout the last year and a half with ServiceNow. The two things when you look at, that you experience when you're a part of an organization, or you want to be a part of an organization, which is, who are the people you're going to work with? We spend most of our time at work. All of us want to make sure we're working with the kind of people we want to spend that time with, right? So who are the people you work with, and what does that organization stand for? What are you really going to be spending all that time doing, right? Is it going to be the right kind of value add? So genuinely, I think ServiceNow ticks both the boxes beautifully. I have had the chance to spend time with so many different people who've genuinely looked out for me, who have, given me more than I asked, right? A lot of times. And that is both with regards to the business leaders I've worked with, the HR and TA leaders that I've worked with, and my own team, given that I'm in a people management role. I think by and large, everyone's given more than I've asked all the time. And I know that Salina has also been there for me again more than I expected and asked, and that's really given me a lot of confidence a lot of times. And then when it comes to the organization, I think you'll see, and when you read about ServiceNow, you look at videos about ServiceNow, you'll know that this is an organization whose vision is very clear. They know what they want, and they're very unapologetic about what they want to do. They know it's an ambitious journey. They do not mince their words about it. They know it's not going to be easy, right? The organization knows it's not going to be an easy task to get to whatever the goal is. But they also know how to get there. And they also know how do we kind of keep making those wins happen, right? It's great at driving value for all the stakeholders and shareholders involved. And it really makes you feel like getting out of bed and getting to work and pushing those boundaries, because you're getting to do it with people that are going to give their best along with you, and you know that the organization is also kind of going to give it back, all the good stuff that you give to it. So I think all in all, one of the best places to work for, and I'm lucky, fortunate that I get to be a part of this journey with ServiceNow.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing that, Salina and Stita. I think I am taking away a lot, and I'm sure audience would, feel the same way about it. And so I think that's it for now. In case you have anything that you want to add on to, which I might not have asked, so feel free to do that.
Would love. It was great catching up with you, Anuradha. My first podcast. Glad that I got to share this panel with Salina, and a lot of great takeaways. And thank you for having us.
We are just mutual admiration club for each other. I think we've spoken a lot about the organization. We are approachable to external people too. So reach out, and I think that's the one good thing about this organization. People are willing to talk to you. So reach out with whatever channels that you have, whether it is LinkedIn, whether it is any other forum that you are, and we're happy to connect and see where it goes. Yeah. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much.
It's been such a pleasure connecting.
Same here, Salina. Thank you so much.